everyone.
as well.
Welcome to the Code Ninja Spaces, episode 15. Every week we track global tech signals, but this week it's a little bit different. What's happening is basically first news of the day is that AI that earns its own money. What happened basically, Conway Research launched the automation. That's an AI agent that is capable of deploying products, entering into the trade market prediction, doing kind sort of cold calling businesses, running marketing campaigns as well. And you know what? It operates autonomously as long as it remains to the financial solvent. And simple terms that it needs to generate its own revenue to pay for its own compute. Interesting. So in parallel, Anna Archives, that's a non-profit digital library, asked AI agent, can you donate to the library if you are capable of financial actions? So that was very interesting as well. And on the other side, the capabilities of models are getting increased day by day. What happened basically, Claude Sonnet 4.6 scored highly around 1633, score eloquent on the GPP val of artificial analysis. And their financial agents are improving as well, around 63.3%. That's huge. So, Omar, what's your take on it? That intelligence is getting stronger and affordable day by day as well.
So this agent, if you, it's Lobsters 101. If you have read Accelerando book, there's a thing. It starts from Lobster. So this whole agents doing all that work is basically after Claude bot. I'm like now we've seen like if you manage the memory architecture better, and if you do tool calling better, if you help agents act, if you make agents access your file system better, then you can do a lot of work. And if you can do a lot of work, then probably agents can basically not only build software, they can actually sell that software, market that software, and earn money, right? On top of it. This is, it's unheard of. Donating to the libraries and all that. I think this is, by the way, this is, these AI agents are performing economically productive activities. Like you talked about automaton, like registering domains, launching services. 97% of databases are being spun up by agents. Tasks from software engineering to tool use. Most of them are now, agents are now quite capable to do all those, all sort of tasks. So I think this is agents 101. I'm telling you. We've been using a lot of agents in Code Ninja, and
Yep.
the real challenge is context. Right? After a very long conversation, I perform series of tasks, and sometimes it takes 300 tool calls or 400 tool calls, and then it says, then it starts hallucinating, and then you figure out, okay, that's from this point onwards, you need to do it manually. But imagine if you have tool calling, if you have the context long enough. Currently Claude is 1 million tokens, so probably if it becomes 100 million tokens, then literally you can do any task. You don't need human for that.
Exactly.
I don't know what does it mean.
So moving on. Moving on to the next signal of the day is related to the intelligence is improving recursively. What's basically happening, we discussed before as well, that Sonnet anthropic model of Claude. Sonnet 4.6 has achieved the state-of-the-art performance, and even those at lower cost. At the same time, Elon tweeted as well and announced that Grok 4.2 features are continuously post-training learning. It means the models are recursively learning after deployment as well. We have been seeing years and years, softwares are always fixed and widgets, no improvement. But now we are moving towards the recursive improvements. On the parallel, if I quote recently from AI Summit of India, Sam says 2028 is going to be the year we're going to achieve AGI. That's something related to recursive intelligence as well. So what's your take on recursive intelligence?
Recursive intelligence is extremely scary. Not everything is good about it. It's procreation, right? Recursive intelligence means that a software would, self-improve itself. And then, for example, I'm not sure when Elon says like now they would do post-training learning. What does it mean? Like every time user interacts with the model, with that interaction, that's not allowed currently. I think that's not. This is not the path. I think probably what he's trying to say is maybe from the user feedback from X or something like that. Maybe that's what he's saying. Because if you start training user on top of user data, then probably even 2028. You can do AGI in 2027 because that would give models so much power, right? So, but recursive self-improvement if you see sci-fi books, if you read most of the sci-fi books, there is some dedicated chapters on recursive software improvements, and that if you see where it ends, that currently our finite minds can only comprehend. What probably we have our limits.
Hmm.
Recursive self-improvement have no, I mean, you are operating at 110, 120, let's say, IQ, and a recursive self-improvement, an agent that who's continuously recursively self-improving itself, let's say it's Maltese or lobsters, they would
Hmm.
probably be operating at 700 IQs. So I mean, they would produce things out of thin air, right? So I don't know what does it mean, and I think I've heard Eric Schmidt a couple of months back that probably
Hmm.
we should not do two things. One of which was this: that you should not post train on user behaviors, user
But
interaction.
that's it. But we are into the AI war. So the next news of the day is related to same AI compute. The signal is that $80 billion infrastructure war for AI compute. You know what's happening? Anthropic expects to pay Amazon, Google, and Microsoft $80 billion by 2029, like after 3 years. And Meta investing billions in NVIDIA Blackwell, Vera Rubin chips. And these chips are capable to deliver 50%, 50x more throughput per megawatt, and 35x% more cheaper, more lower cost per token. That these things are huge. And you know what? The companies like Google signed the contract with the company Ormet, signed a 150. Ormet is a geothermal company, so they signed a 150 megawatt geothermal agreement that gonna power Google power centers. These things, like, companies are spending tens of billions on compute infrastructure, just all for the intelligence. So what's your take on this?
So you asked two, three different
Hmm.
questions. I mean, you touched two, three different points. One is you talked about Dario and Claude. I think Dario recently on the Vakesh podcast said, like, if they don't achieve AGI,
Hmm.
they would become bankrupt, right? They have to, because somehow we have put. By the way, I mean, we shouldn't have gone that path. That OpenAI nonprofit thing was, I think, good enough, but now the genie's out of the bottle, and now we are in war. So now
Hmm.
this all what you're seeing is a competitive streak, right? That it's just about that now we're in a war, and then in that war we have to just everyone is thinking about how to win. So,
Hmm.
in, so just think about it, like clearly Anthropic is not going to be bankrupt. So they would do everything, whatever it takes, to push for AGI,
Hmm.
irrespective of what kind of disruption it would be and all that, probably to slow it down and put some moratorium on certain things and stuff like that. But that's one thing. Uh, Second thing is, like, uh, electricity and tokens are the same thing. The only difference is in between there's a thing called GPU,
Hmm.
right? So these data centers require massive energy, and we don't here in the US. We don't have energy, right? We as compared to China,
Hmm.
we the good thing about China is China has transitioned hundreds of gigawatts into solar,
Hmm.
right? But here in the US, it's not even close. And then when you think about solar, you can probably power your uh, homes and probably commercial offices and stuff like that with solar. But Honeywell CEO said, I think, like, you can't cut the steel using solar, right? It's just it's against the physics. So you need, I mean, if you are manufacturing a lot of steel, if you are manufacturing uh, a lot, and America has this goal to bring manufacturing back to America, it means you need a lot of energy just
Hmm.
for example, steel production, uh, heavy equipment manufacturing, and stuff like that, right? And then if energy is required there, and your homes and your offices and all that, they are also not being powered by solar, then there's little available for data centers. So energy is the real, I mean, most of, I mean, there are lots of GPUs are already in access, but the real challenge
Hmm.
now is energy. We don't have energy here in the US. But and everyone is trying to. So OpenAI is very close to closing their $100 billion round. uh, Anthropic has, I think, closed $350 billion round. I mean, think about billions, think about these billions of dollars of rounds, and most of that money is going towards energy acquisition.
Being in US, have you seen any strategically move they're taking for the energy for compute? Because being in Pakistan, there are a lot of solar energy. But is there
No,
anything they're doing?
Pakistan is world's fourth largest urban solar adopt.
Hmm.
I mean, in Pakistan is world's number four in urban solar adoption, right? So Pakistan is
Yep.
very high in terms of solar adoption, because at the
Hmm.
time there wasn't any other energy resource, so it was more of like we had to leapfrog to this. Like in US,
Exactly.
it's not. I mean, no, in not even close to what's happening in China or in Pakistan in terms of solar. But what US is doing is currently they're powering. I mean, the plan, I think, probably is to power their data centers in the orbit,
Hmm.
and probably if that plan gets successful, Elon is doing it. If that plan gets successful, then probably they have a very good chance of finding a way out in like for example, to meet these energy demands. I mean, they would probably innovate their way out into this. Otherwise, I'm not sure how this is going to happen. So lots of data centers are being built in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia. There's some very good proposal to set up some of the data centers in Pakistan as well, right? So yeah.
Perfect. So the fourth news of the day is related to robotics is entering consumer market. What's basically happening that Tesla manufactured their first cyber cab robotaxi at Giga, Texas, and they are planning to launch it for consumer availability of the price going to be around $30,000. And on the parallel, Unity demonstrated coordinated humanoid robots deployment. We have seen some hype of them in India AI Summit as well. So moving on, for decades, we have seen robots exist only in labs, and now all of the sudden we are looking robots everywhere around us as well, moving into more consumer markets. What's the shift indicates us?
So robots hardware was available from last 30-40 years. It was like we didn't have those sort of reasoning capabilities that we have now. So now robots can reason. I mean, robots are not different than Claude Cowork. If you see how Claude uses tool calling and all that. That's, if you really see, the one is tool calling, but on the other hand, it's basically the model reasoning capabilities. Now we have those sort of capabilities, and now we can now power that robotic hardware with that. Uh, the real challenge with robots is that, like for example, can you outsource a plumbing task to a robot, or can you outsource some mining task to a robot, because mining by design is extremely dangerous for humans. Currently we're not there yet, because the dexterity of the hand is not fully achieved now. Hand is, Elon says, is one of the most hardest part of the body to engineer. So but maybe next 2-3 years here in the US, what we're seeing is, I've seen some of the robots in some of the exhibitions. Figure have, I mean, it's not just Tesla Optimus. Figure has some incredible robots. So I think we would see next few years that we would have at least by 2030. It's expected that we would have same number of robots as we have cars.
Oh, nice. As in human, I guess we are always really get fascinated by looking towards humanoid robots doing
So
work and all.
humanoid robots are now pretty common now. I mean, if you go in any exhibition and you will find out at least 10-20 booths where they're demonstrating Optimus lookalike or something like that.
Exactly. So on front desk, we no longer need humans. Robots gonna be much more flexible,
So
available 24.
today I was in a conference, and there they demonstrated. I mean, the first robot was built 300 years BC to mix wine with the water.
Oh,
So it's not something. I mean, human curiosity and quest to build things like robots have been 2,000 or 2,500 years old.
interesting. So moving on to the next signal, human-machine interface is becoming physical and biological as well. What's happening basically, just like Meta, Apple is developing AI-powered smart glasses, camera AirPods, and more towards wearable AI devices. On the other hand, NeuroX beginning human brain-computer interface trials as well, the BCI trials. So the question here is that AI is no longer just limited to the software; it's emerging into our bodies and environment as well. What does this transition mean?
I mean, I've used these are Meta glasses with
Yep.
my lenses, but the real challenge with wearable devices like this is like security. In So for example, in airports, there are certain airports I travel to, I travel from, they have explicitly written you can't wear these wearable devices in certain public places. Even the West is by default, public places in West means nothing is private, right? But however, I've seen places where these are banned. So one of the thing is security. What does it mean? But on the other hand, I can tell you that it just powers your productivity 100x. It's unlike smartphone. I mean, it seamlessly integrates with your voice. Then you can. It's currently the model is Meta. I mean, Llama model is scrap. But I mean, imagine if OpenAI built something like this, works on wearable devices, and then connects their models, or Claude connects their models with them, it would be extremely powerful. This idea of, like, for example, opening this thing and doing this would look like pager. I'm telling you. I mean, 10 years from now, this would be a pager. A smartphone would be a pager. No one is going to use it.
Exactly. So I guess that's great. So moving on to the next news, that's something very close to us as well. We already discussed it. Software business models are collapsing and getting rebuilt. Even the Satya said as well that SaaS is dead now. What's basically happening is that companies like Snowflake and Databricks are moving away from seat per pricing because the trend of consumption-based pricing is becoming more dominant. At the same time, Microsoft predicts even that computer-based jobs are going to be automated within 18 months. Claude CEOs said that as well. So, and the trends are moving towards more Figma and Anthropic integrated AI generated code directly into design tools as well. These all are indicating a shift that for decades software companies charged per user, but this model is breaking day by day. So, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, SaaS. I mean, in some SaaS products, the margins were 70 to 80%
Hmm.
margins. I mean, that era is gone. Uh, that's one thing. Now, this is my favorite topic as well, the
Hmm.
consumption-based pricing. So it's also called intelligence by drink. Like, for
Exactly.
example, you use the intelligence and you
Hmm.
pay just like, for example, you had a drink and you paid for it, right? So this
Exactly.
model is called consumption model is called intelligence by drink. Uh, I think there are three different tiers currently. The top tier, as we talk about, there's a guy called Madhavan Ramanujan, right?
Hmm.
He's an authority on coming up with pricing for products, right? He's an ultimate. I mean, he's written a book, two books. He's written two books. One is monetizing innovation, and second is
Hmm.
there's another book I don't know. Both are around how to price your products. So he
Hmm.
talks about this, about these tiers. At the top of the ladder is, for example, pricing, outcome based pricing when it comes to AI, which is like, for example, if there's a product called Intercom is a customer service product. It only charges you if the conflict is resolved entirely by AI, right?
Hmm.
So that's called outcome based pricing. If human resolves the conflict, then you're not charged. But it's hard to see. It's 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 challenging to deploy that kind of model into other parts. However, that's the holy grail. That's everyone wants to go to this
Hmm.
part, like outcome based pricing. In the middle is this consumption based pricing. Like you would have base pricing. Like, for example, if you're using Claude, so you would have
Hmm.
$20, then you can use Claude. But then if you want power doses of intelligence, then you would take max package and $100 or $200 and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And then if you end up consuming all that, then probably you would have more tokens. So this consumption based pricing, and the whole idea of this is like, you don't want to be operating at 1000 IQ at 24 hours. You probably need some doses of that intelligence, and the rest is okay, right? uh, but this is and I think in this part a lot of innovation can happen.
Hmm.
If lots of companies talk about replacing SaaS, we also talk about replacing SaaS. It's not about building software and building. I mean, if you can bootstrap something like Salesforce, that's a less of a thing than probably if you can somehow challenge their business model in an unpredictable, asymmetrical way. Then probably this is far bigger innovation than, for
Hmm.
example, building the same software in a lot less pricing structure.
Interesting. Do you think just because self-built softwares are getting more affordable, so that's why SaaS, that's maybe the primary reason SaaS is getting dead as well?
The real challenge, I mean, I would talk about software. SaaS it is for the business model that is over. I mean, it's just a matter of time. It's over. I
Hmm.
mean, and with the real challenge with SaaS or with software now is software is very fixed. Even if you, for example, if I am building, let's say I have to build an internal tool for finance, and
Hmm.
I do it with Replit. Once I build it, it's there. uh,
Hmm.
I think what we need to think about is how to think about software computationally. The less you would build, the less software would be pre-built, the better it would be, right? The
Hmm.
whole pre-built idea, for example, bootstrapping database, performing certain functions, is about giving context to the models and let the models compute in real time.
Hmm.
The more computational it would be, the better your chances are to get closer to the reality you want to achieve. So, for example, in software, you want two things. Number one, you want to, for example, implement certain kind of workflows, and the second thing is you want to uh, predict. You want to see the future. Elon tweeted a couple of days back, the best form of intelligence is the best, for the best way you can find intelligence, whether someone is intelligent or not, is like to judge his ability to predict the future, right?
Hmm.
So if you can tell how the next 1 month is going to look like, that's you're a very intelligent person. Now models can do that, but that's only possible if you design models in a way that software in a way. I mean, if you have already written everything down and all you're doing is just probably doing some conversational UI experiences on top of it, on top of your software, that's not, for example, computational software. Computational software means like in real time you're computing the future, right? And
Exactly.
for that to happen, you need to give a lot of context to the models. That's what we are trying to do with Hyper, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so This was my rant on current software.
Hyper is a composable vibe coding platform, or as we like to call it, CVC platform, to help knowledge workers build internal tools faster and better. So rather than scaffolding the entire solution with AI, Hyper helps build blocks of code through automation and then use agentic AI orchestration to help stitch all those blocks of code to give more deterministic internal AI tooling you can trust. So essentially, it's a better way to build custom tooling or custom software. The idea is to help developers use the AI tools maximally in a one unified workflow. We've built agents like business analysts to help developers room the requirements, and then we've built data modeler who helps you transfer those requirements into a concrete data model. Then you bring all those things into Hyper AI Studio, where you build tables, hook the databases, build MCP tools to hook with a quad code, and build custom workflows, all using Hyper AI. The idea of Hyper AI is to land up at a point where helping organizations self-build their internal software systems rather than outsourcing to services vendors, and coming up with a platform where the entire solution can fit into a mind of one developer. Both seemingly different ideas come together as one holistic outcome. So it had a dual use. And I think it's a much better way to build software where you're not outsourcing everything to the vibes, and we're not only using quad code to generate all the things. It's basically a spectrum between vibing and architecting software. It's a new class of work that we call composable vibe code.
You're computing the future, right?
Exactly.
And for that to happen, you need to give a lot of context to the models. That's what we are trying to do with Hyper, right? So this was my rant on current software.
Okay, so that's fine. Now, moving on to the last news of the day is related to the financial infrastructure is adopting AI as well. What's basically happening that Stripe received approval to launch stablecoin from Trust Bank. Microsoft is investing $50 billion in global South infrastructure, and the companies like Palantir is relocating their headquarters strategically as well. All these moves, and what do you say? Why are financial system adopting to AI so rapidly, like
I
so
mean,
far?
AI, blockchain, when you
Hmm.
combine these two, three things, it becomes very exciting. The current financial structure, I think that I'm not sure whether current banking system would adapt to this new reality or not. The chances are not very high. There are two things that's happening in terms of financial infrastructure. Number one is stablecoin or UCSD, right?
Yep.
So UCSD is basically is a coin, but it's tied to a fiat currency. It's tied to a US dollar, right?
Hmm.
That gives its ability to, for example, to buy coffee from Starbucks and stuff like that, right? But I mean, it's not unlike other coins. So UCSD is tied to a fiat currency. That's you need to understand. Now, like people ask, like, if it's tied to a fiat currency, then what's the advantage of it? So yes, it's tied to a fiat currency, but real advantage of UCSD is its programmability. You can program everything in the world currently except money, right? Now when you bring money into this digital infrastructure, either it's okay that it's tied to a fiat currency, but now you can program the money. I can, if I want to send you money from US to, let's say, Pakistan, I can program it in ways, the way you want to receive it, the way the instantaneous nature of the money and all that currently takes a week or so, right? So
Hmm.
this is coming now. This, for this sort of thing, I'm not sure current banking system is ready or not. I think they're not. So the 2026 and 7, we need to watch out stablecoin. Anyways, Y Combinator has started to give uh, f- uh, finance and investment to startups in stablecoins as well. They can take in stablecoins. So UCSD is a thing that we all need to watch out for the next 2 years.
Perfect. So that's it for the day. Thank you everyone for watching.